Hello there, and welcome to episode, what are we up to now? 91, episode 91 of Brews Less Traveled, the podcast exploring the best uncharted craft beer scenes across these United States. I'm your host, Brian. Glad to be back. How's it going, everybody? Shout out to all yins in the chat joining us tonight for the recording, and also shout out to my good friend Isaac Bell, our co-host for this episode. Isaac, how's it going?
It's good. It's good. How are you?
Not too bad. Been on a baking kick this week. Baked some cookies yesterday. Some plain sugar cookies. They were good. And I made scones for the first time this morning. And if I do say so myself, knocked them scones out of the park.
Wow, love to hear that, man.
Yeah.
That's great. I've never been much of a baker, but I do love
more
to
of a cook. Definitely. Yeah.
I'd like to, but you know, there's other people in this house that handle the baking.
I was gonna say your significant other definitely takes care of her fair share of that side of the kitchen.
We've got a pretty good thing going on in terms of like fermentation. So I've got all the brewing and, you know, like the kombucha and weird stuff like that. And she's got I'd like to think that there's lots of yeast and bacteria floating around this house that's beneficial. Which we're also in the same time of year. I don't know about Pittsburgh, but it's a beautiful day here. And I broke out my motorcycle out of the garage for the first time. Wow. Well, not the first time this year, but one of the first times, and got a quick ride in before we set up tonight. So,
no, it is the technical term here is dog shit weather. It has been rainy and cold, gloomy, rainy, cold for the past 2 days. We got a nice, had a real nice 75-degree day last week, but since then it's been kind of.
We call that fake spring.
Yeah, we got our fake spring. Yep. But we'll see. We live in an old house, and we have the like vinyl stuff that you put over the window to like keep the heat in here.
Sure.
And I got way overzealous on that 75-degree day last
tore
week.
It all down.
Like, I tore one down, and I was like, we're opening this window. And then, dude, the next day it was 35 degrees when we woke up, and I was like, oh man, shit, I shouldn't have torn that down.
Yeah, we went from that to snow in like 2 days.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool how this weather constantly changes. Great to keep up with. So we're here for another episode of Brews Less Traveled, making our way through the wonderful city of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. We are featuring our final brewery from this great Midwest city, Severance Brewing Company, a brewery that opened in 2019. We're going to be featuring their Tedious Fool Imperial Stout, brewed with some vanilla beans and lactose, I believe. And we have their cranberry. We'll get correction on that. The cranberry.
Just renaming beers every podcast.
Cranberrery State of Mind, which is the sour ale brewed with cranberries and spruce needles. Love when spruce gets incorporated into a beer.
Absolutely.
And we're going to be joined by two guests from Severance, and we might as well just jump on into things here. So please join us in welcoming the owner and head brewer at Severance, Scott, Heckel, and Lindsay Perout, the sales manager at Severance. How's it going?
Hey guys.
Hello.
How goes it?
Hey there.
It goes. It's gonna go a lot better once we get these beers open, get drinking, talking about Severance, and having a good time here. Definitely. Forgot to mention. Thanks for the sticker. Oop, I put it sideways. Sticker inclusion is always good.
Yeah.
Nice.
I appreciate a small sticker because everything I have that I put stickers on is very much covered in stickers. So a small sticker fits in there. Real nice. But we should get started with our quick sip questions. These are fast questions. We want fast answers. These will help us to get to know you fast. Lindsay, Scott, are you ready?
Yes.
Is it one each? Do they both answer? I have questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can both answer. I want you both to answer, but if you don't have an answer, that's fine. They're simple questions though, so I think you'll have answers for all of them. And our first one is favorite non-Severance beer.
You threw them for a
Go
loop.
for it.
Buggles and Warlocks Strawberry Wit.
Okay.
And then my go-to is Odell IPA.
Oh, okay. Shout out to Odell's out of Colorado there. Favorite local outdoor activity.
Hiking.
Biking.
Okay.
I used to.
I actually misread that. It is a favorite local outdoor spot.
But activity works too.
It does.
Favorite outdoor
By all
spot?
means, biker.
From
ahead.
Scott, let's hear it. Jeez, let's.
I like Blue Mountains Park.
Honestly, any of the brewery's patios, I guess.
Good answer. I was afraid to name a
Nice.
brewery.
Czech or German style pills.
I'm gonna say check.
Same. Check.
Same. If you had to live one place other than Sioux Falls, where would that be?
Fort Collins.
Yeah, agree.
Ireland.
Oh no, Lindsay, you broke up there.
Is
Yeah.
unstable.
Our connection got spotty there.
So Scott, yours was Fort Collins, a brewery featured 2 months ago on this very podcast here. Lindsay, what was your answer?
I said Ireland.
Ooh, okay.
Nice.
Out of the box, out of the country. And then finally, if you my favorite quick sip question. Have either of you ever seen Bigfoot, a ghost, a UFO?
Yes. No.
All right.
No. And on a drunken night, I thought yes.
Okay, we're gonna unpack these here. But I think we should get our first beer open. Let's start with the
That was a dolphin.
you could help me correct me on this. Cranberry State
Why
of
don't
Mind.
you tell them how to say it, Scott?
Yeah, so it's Cranberrery State of Mind. In the hunt for finding good beer names, I often find myself going to Urban Dictionary or Urban Thesaurus, and Cranberry State of Mind is apparently the state of mind you enter after having one too many vodka cranberries. So that's where that name came from.
There's
What's,
hecklers behind us.
yeah, what's happening behind you? Are people holding up signs?
They're showing up with signs. Yeah, that one says life and beer are very similar. Chill for best results.
All right. I can dig
So
it.
I believe behind us we have, is it Nick and Nora? Is that right?
Thumbs
boy.
up.
There
Nick
it
and
is.
Nora.
Wow. It's like looking through the fourth wall.
That's right. All right. So while everybody's getting into their first beer, and we've just learned how to say it, although you broke up a little bit for me. I think it was cranberry. Did I do that right?
Cranberrery State of Mind. And I'm going to try to fire up my hotspot here and see if I can improve our
Cranberry
connection here.
State of Mind. While you're doing that,
Cranberry.
aside from what it means, what would you like to tell us about that beer?
So this is one that we typically release around the holidays, and it was about the time that we were shipping beer out to you guys. But just a nice, easy drinking sour. It's not too terribly tart, but that spruce tip as it warms up will start to come out quite a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, the spruce complements the cranberry very well. And yeah, not a lot of acidity to the beer. I think that, cranberry is something that can overdo sours a lot of times. And I feel like the spruce is restraining it. And overall, it's a very, very restrained, great example of a cranberry sour.
Yeah,
It's
and
been a while since I've had this
specifically because of that cranberry and the acidity that tends to sour on this one. We don't typically bring the pH down quite as far as we normally would, just to make sure that it doesn't become too offensive.
Compensate, yeah.
Yeah.
So Lindsay, I do have to follow up. Bigfoot story? You saw Bigfoot?
I mean, I believe, yeah. I think so. I used to live in Washington State, British Columbia area, and I was at Bigfoot Provincial Park, and I'm telling you, his name is right there on the signs. And all I can say is something big was moving around, and I'm just convinced
It was a bear.
it wasn't a bear, Scott.
It's
Oy,
Bigfoot
with this
and
guy.
He's not making it hot.
No, there was we were at Harrison Hot Springs in British Columbia at Provincial State Park, and we were hiking, and seriously, there was just something in the woods, and it was tall, and it was looking at eye level, and then it wasn't there. And they have statues of him all over the place, so he thought he was fitting in, I think. It was just a weird moment. It was just a weird moment.
Love it. I mean, normally the answers to those questions are like, no, not really. So I will say Sioux Falls has been delivering. We've gotten 2 Bigfoot stories this month. I'm a very, very happy man. Very happy man.
Yeah?
Very, very happy drinking this sour ale here. And I want to jump back to kind of the origins of Severance. Scott, you were a home brewer that turned your hobby into a profession, and why don't you talk about that beginnings and now how much of that home brewer is still in you these all these years have gone past?
Yeah. Yeah, you actually can't see it right now, but in our tap room, we do have my original 1-gallon Mr. Beer kit that my wife bought me for our first Christmas together. From there, it just kind of spiraled out of control. Oh, she's grabbing one for display.
Oh my God.
Awesome.
But yeah, so I mean, it's a typical story, right, for most brewers that came out of the homebrew scene, but went from the Mr. Beer kit to doing one batch on that, and although it was ungodly awful, it at least opened my eyes to the fact that, hey, you can actually make beer at home. And after talking to some folks, finding out that you can actually make good beer at home, then I went to doing some of my own recipes on a little 5-gallon kit on the stove to 10 gallons in the garage to a fully automated system in the basement. And in 2010, we actually my wife and I were in planning to try to start something here in Sioux Falls, which was actually several years before any other craft beer scene or brewery had really opened up. But it ended up not quite working out just because approval from the city, and there was a music studio that was attached to that space, and the city said, we can't have a bar next to this place with unattended kids. We're not going to approve your license. And while we were waiting to find a new spot downtown, I got a promotion at work, and with a brand new kid and a mortgage and car payments, it was one of those deals where it wasn't in the cards. So put it on the back burner and kept kind of making my way up the corporate ladder at the bank I was working at in their IT area. And the further up the ladder I got, the more miserable I got. Ended up happening was that one summer day, came home, kind of in a pissy mood. And my wife said, I think it's time that we actually start doing some planning on the brewery again. So that was back in 2017, put a plan in place. And 2 years later, we opened Severance.
Awesome.
It's always the backstory of a brewery opening. It's the guy that's like, yeah, I just climbed the corporate ladder, and then I realized I absolutely hate this. What sounds much better?
The name Severance. the name Severance specifically is referring to kind of severing ties from that standard corporate lifestyle and creating our own severance package is kind of what we joke about is the brewery was my severance package from corporate America. So that's where the name Severance comes from.
Awesome. I love that. And like Brian, I'm also a fan of the tiny little stickers too. I was telling everybody last week, I take all the stickers that I get and I turn them into, I put them on magnetic paper so I can put them onto my kegerator. And if I ever lose it or it dies, or when it does die, I should say, I can carry them on to, the next beverage serving vessel. So appreciate that as well. Speaking of, kind of the homebrew side of things and then opening up your own brewery, you obviously brew an extremely wide range of beers. You've got stouts, IPAs, sours, even ciders and seltzers. What is your favorite style out of all those things, out of all the things that you make to brew? And what's your favorite new beer that you brewed last year?
So occasionally we get to brew a true lager, and those are always fun, just because you can't truly hide too much behind a lot of those lagers, right? So that's probably my favorite style to actually brew, just because it does test your ability as a brewer. We have actually been doing a kind of a new line of floggers is what we call them. I don't know what folks in the rest of the country are calling them, but faux lagers, right? So Omega has come out with a new line of their Kavaikis called Lutra that finishes very nice and clean and has characteristics very similar to a lager, but we could turn them around obviously much faster. We actually put one together last year called Best of Foo, because so we were going to obviously have the Foo Fighters concert here in Sioux Falls, and then Taylor Hawkins passed away, and that tour got canceled. So we held on the weekend that the concert was supposed to be here, we held a Foo Fighters Tribute Night, had musicians and did a bunch of acoustic Foo, and we released a beer called, that was our first flogger that we released. And since then it went over so well that we've now released, started a series of them. So we've got, it's called False Advertising because of the faux lager or flogger. So we started that new series. We're on our second one of those now.
Third.
Third if you include the Best of Foo.
Which
and then we've got a whole smorgasbord of them coming up here in 2023. So.
I've never heard them called floggers. I definitely heard the style kind of popularized by Marshall Schott of Brewlosophy fame. He talked a lot about doing those at home because, it's really, for those that don't know, you have to ferment lager yeast at 50-55 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's really hard to do unless you have a dedicated chamber or glycol chilling, stuff like that. So being able to brew beers that taste and present like lagers using techniques and ingredients that we'd use for ales really makes that style so much more approachable. And for breweries, like the tank turnaround time, like your tank residency just like goes through the floor.
Yeah.
And you could turn those beers around a lot quicker and not really worry about diacetyl, acetaldehyde, and all those off flavors that you would if you try to turn a lager around that quick. It's pretty great.
Sounds like Kavaik has changed the brewing industry on both sides.
Yep.
Is that something?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I think my two favorite beers last year were Smoketoberfest, which is a smoked Marzen. But that was a repeat. It was what, your third year doing that, right? Yeah. And then Tear in the Tartan was a Scotch ale that we just did last November. Those two were probably my favorites. Yeah, those two were probably those two.
Cool.
And the Tear in the Tartan actually, for Lindsay's husband's birthday present, he got to come in and be a brewer for a day. So he had a brewing experience to help brew that one.
Yeah, that was fun for him.
That's pretty cool.
I bought him pizza. I don't know.
You better watch out. Is he going to open up his own brewery now?
So in 2020, just a year after Severance first opened the tap room, you were awarded the coolest tap room award at the Craft Beer Marketing Awards. What does the tap room experience mean for both of you, both Lindsay as the sales director and Scott, you as a brewer?
Yeah, so
IPA lot when I drink beer.
That's our next sign from the Donut Gallery.
So for us, when we opened Severance, taproom experience was front and center. And we actually, like my wife and I, we would go around for several years knowing that, one day we wanted to open a brewery up. We would go around breweries in Fort Collins, actually all around Colorado, up in the Twin Cities, down in Omaha, Nebraska, places where there were already a lot of breweries established. And she literally just kept a running notebook of what we enjoyed at all those different tap rooms and what we disliked. And we tried to compile all of those to create what we have at Severance, which is a very inviting tap room. It's we've heard it compared to almost like a Cheers atmosphere, where it's very even though we're in Sioux Falls, it has a very kind of small, tight knit feel to it. We have actually residents that live above us. We've got 4 floors of residential. So we've got a ton of regulars that are down here all the time. That all know each other's name. And then from there, we've got the shuffleboard table. We've got what are the other fun aspects of the tap room, I guess.
We have a great patio.
We have a great patio. We've got the garage doors that pop open during the summer months. We overlook Falls Park here in Sioux Falls. So we pop those doors open and you can see the upper falls.
There's also a concert shell right like half a block away from us. And in the summer, there are concerts every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. And you can sit out on our patio and you can hear the music, which is really quite nice to be able to enjoy that as well. Yep. And we brew a specific beer for that.
Yep, brew a specific beer for them every year.
Yeah, it's just it's a good spot.
Yeah.
It's all right. Yeah, all right. Fine.
So I think we're getting ready, and it's about time for everybody to jump into our next beer. This is the first time I think on the show I've ever had a beer named after me, but we're going to start with go into Tedious Fool. What would you like to tell us about our second beer?
So this one is named Tedious Fool because of all of the hand scraped vanilla beans that go into it. There's a 1.5 pounds of vanilla in it, which right now equates, I think this year it equated to about 150 or 175 vanilla beans that you hand scrape by hand and then prep to get into the tank. So
the act of a tedious fool.
Yeah, it's a very tedious process. Really nice, balanced, I would say, imperial stout. It's not overly roasty. It's not too terribly boozy for 8.7. And that vanilla comes through really nice.
I bet you the brew house
Vanilla
smelled
really
great.
does come through.
Yeah, how
Yeah,
fun-
yeah, definitely. The day that you're doing the vanilla, it's kind of like coffee beer days too. The brew house smells excellent that day.
Yeah, but it's a lot of fun processing all that vanilla. I don't think people don't know vanilla beans to really get the vanilla character out of them. You actually cut them open lengthwise, like a hot dog cut, not a hamburger cut, hot dog cut. You splay it open and you really scrape this black, like caviar looking substance out of there. And that's really where your vanilla flavor comes from. And you said there was about what, 150 beans in this batch?
150 to 175 this year. Yeah, in the pound and a half.
270 that first year.
The very first year, I went a little overboard on the vanilla, and that one was like 270 something beans, I think it was. So we dialed it back just a smidge from that first
You
year.
overdid it?
It's kind of like sometimes with hops and IPAs, it's right. Like how much is too, like when is enough, right? Like, are you spending all this extra money on vanilla beans when you could like cut
Right.
out 100 of them and still like it tastes the same?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll never know unless you tell us.
I think the vanilla character in this presents almost as caramel. It mixes with the whatever malts are in the malt bill and comes across as a really nice caramely flavor.
There is a ton of dark crystal in this one. There was one comment that I saw in the chat. Actually, it's from Nick and Nora. One of the other fun things in our tap room is we created a coaster wall where on the back of our coasters you can do a little sketch or doodle, and then we started hanging them up on the wall. And at this point, it covers about 60-foot stretch of the brewery,
Floor to ceiling.
10 feet high, and we're now trying to go back across the top about another 5 feet. So
Yeah, it's really kind of cool. Scott is a really big fan of zero clutter and straight lines, which is evident. But then you suddenly walk into this back hallway and there's just coasters attached to the wall everywhere. And it's fun. People write messages about where they're from or just draw.
there's some really good art up there too.
Really good art up there, actually. So the coaster wall is really cool.
Well, Nick and Nora, we're gonna leave it up to you to draw a Brews Less Traveled one and put it up there.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I found some pictures here. There's some really good drawings on that.
There are some really good ones. It can be shocking sometimes.
Yeah. Wow. I'm just gonna get distracted and look at all those pictures of that. So something I did want to jump into is we meet before we do these recordings, and something that had been mentioned is something new that Severance has been working on that Lindsay is very passionate about, and that is the food and beer pairing program that Severance has started, working with a bunch of different food types and putting together these beer dinners. So can you talk about the role of food and beer pairings with Severance's brand nowadays, and what that experience has been like for you?
I think that first of all, I can't stress enough that beer goes with everything. So you can always just put beer, and it's fine. There's not a bad answer. But one of my specialties is really finding an actual pairing. Like, what is it that brings out something else? And a lot of people really recognize that places do that with wine, but beer doesn't have the reputation for that as much. So it started actually because one day I was at a vendor fair and a salsa, she now has a whole situation, but at the time she was a salsa distributor, she and her mom make salsa. And she was giving salsa to the guests. And as they were having it, I was jumping in and being like, have it with this beer. And we thought, well, this is kind of fun. And so we did, that was brunch, right? We did a salsa brunch, but she and her mom are very passionate about salsa isn't just for chips. So they made this beautiful meal, brought it to me. I paired it with the beers. It was a hit. So we did another one at dinner time a month later, and we realized we really have something here like that. Not to say that that wasn't happening, but I think kind of she would speak about the food, I would speak about the beer, and then I would also talk about why I chose that beer and what to look for. Like, what is it that this beer is doing with this food, and back and forth. So we kind of did that between every course. And it just took off. So we did another dinner one, and we've decided to start a series of doing a cultural dinner maybe every other month. Our next one is actually with a wonderful Mediterranean restaurant here in town. I've talked to a Brazilian restaurant, but I also did one with a pizza place. My favorite pizza. No, I didn't say that. No, I did one with a pizza place here in town. But it was really cool because we went into so much description about the pizza and the beer. And as I was walking through afterwards, talking to people, they're like, we thought we were just getting beer and pizza. Like, we didn't understand what this was going to be. And people are really excited about the idea of learning how things can accentuate things. So that's what we're doing now. So we're doing these cultural dinners, and I love it. I love it.
On the pizza one, the amount of beer and pizza that we went through to actually nail,
that was a good day.
To actually nail the pairings, though, was actually, it took 3 days.
It took 3 days. There was one particular pizza, and I couldn't nail it down. Like, it did certain things with every single one, and it was always just like a tiny bit, that isn't right. And so,
well, and the pizza we were bringing back was 15 minutes old, right? So it wasn't fresh out of the oven anymore. So like, we're just gonna have to go down to the pizza shop and bring the beer with us.
So we did. So we went down to the pizza shop. I was like, I need this pizza hot. We have to find the right one. So he pulled up a seat also. We had like 4 different beers and figured it out. It was really kind of cool though, because there were 2 that went really well, but one brightened everything and the other one wrapped it in a warm little hug. Like, and that was kind of the thing, is like, beer can do these 2 different things with the exact same food. So it's something I love to do. And thankfully Scott is letting me. And so it's awesome.
It sounds like a terrible job, but somebody's got to work it out.
I know, it's really, I mean, all of these restaurants just have this remarkable food, and I have to drink beer. Oh my gosh. I mean,
I've got to know what was the pizza? Like, what style of pizza was it? And like, topping wise, and what was the beer that you ended up going with?
Great question.
well, we did 4.
But the one in particular that caused us so much grief,
It was
it the Doggy Blues, or was it the
that one I
barbecue
knew
one? It was the
immediately.
barbecue.
Was barbecue. It was a pizza with a barbecue sauce. Was it?
Yeah. What else is on it?
BBQ. It's barbecue sauce, chicken, and like a couple different kinds of cheese. If he's listening to this right now, he's going to be so mad that I'm just not nailing it.
I always say there's like 8 angry people out there listening.
What's that?
No, you're good. It was a stupid joke. Keep telling me about pizza.
Okay. I'm sorry, cut off right in the middle. The 2 that I wasn't sure. One of them was a cardboard paper cut, so kind of a bright, slightly hoppy. Oh, honey barbecue, cheddar chicken, mushrooms, onions, jalapenos, and a ranch drizzle. So
that's a lot of stuff. Happening.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. Come to Sioux Falls. I'll take you there.
All right.
So we did the hoppy one, and it was really good, but it brightened everything and it intensified everything. And then we did Monster Cookie. It's a stout, and when you did it with the stout, it like wrapped all of it. I thought for a minute the stout was going to but
not just a stout, but it's peanut butter and chocolate.
Peanut butter chocolate stout, and it wrapped the whole thing in a beautiful blanket and it snugged you and it made you feel safe and warm, and it was wonderful. And that's my story.
Well, I asked. I love it. Thank you.
Somebody here actually wrote beer paired with Girl Scout cookies. Did it for a Girl Scout fundraiser
Last year, and we'll be back again this
and we're
year.
going to do it again this year.
I love
Got
to
excited.
hear that. So speaking of all the things that you all are doing, sounds like there's lots of big things coming this year. What are you looking forward to in 2023?
Sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah, no worries. What are you looking forward to in 2023?
I'm looking forward to, I think, a normal year. Like we opened in 2019, August of 2019. So we had this nice little honeymoon period between August and September or October, and then winter hit in South Dakota, which we factored that into our business plan, but it just gets ungodly slow. And then as we were coming out of the winter, February was starting to get nice. Business was picking up, and then the pandemic hit. So, I mean, and then after that, we dealt still with reduced capacity in the tap room and those types of things. We also had, people had a lot of COVID money for a little while there. So there was some extra spending. So I'm looking forward to like a true good kind of just one normal year to see if we can get through that. But
Yeah, we'll let you know if that happens.
yeah. But we have done, we've finally gotten into a little bit better canning system here. And
that was exciting.
yeah, so we've been able to expand our kind of regional footprint as far as kegs and can distribution goes, especially with Lindsay coming in. She's been able to get us into a lot of new places. So kind of expanding our distribution footprint a little bit more this year is something I'm looking forward to, and just kind of seeing where we can go in the tap room. So
Cool. Awesome. So before we wrap up here, what is one thing that you each wish Sioux Falls or South Dakota in general was more well known for?
Ooh. Don't look at me, man. I'm not from here. These people will eat me alive.
yeah, Lindsay joined us from like 13 different states.
True story.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
What do I wish Sioux Falls or South Dakota was better known for? I honestly don't know. I mean, we have actually a really good beer scene here, which I think is underappreciated.
Yeah.
We also have and this is kind of the cliche answer, but we have actually a lot of really good food here as well.
It is very true.
Yeah. Outside of that, the one thing that I always tell people, though, when I say that I'm from Sioux Falls, is that it's one of those cities where you feel like a family indoors and outdoors during the few months that we get that are nice outside. Although we do have even a tiny little bunny hill to go skiing and stuff if you're looking for something to do during the winter. But just low crime, good cost of living and stuff. So, I mean, in general, Sioux Falls is a great place to raise a family and just live.
Everybody, I've been here for a year, here for 1 year today.
It's Lindsay's work anniversary today.
It's my work anniversary.
Oh.
And no cake, no chips, whatever. It's fine. It's fine.
I do a podcast. That's
but everybody that's come to visit me, everybody that's come to visit us since we've been here, when they leave, like the biggest thing that they say is like, wow, I had no idea. And that is the common answer over and over and over again in regards to Sioux Falls, is they're like, I had no idea. So we've got a great downtown, and we have kind of everything you need in a city with a small town feel. So it's awesome.
Dollars to donuts. I thought Scott was going to say the bike trails.
I know, right? Because he's
So,
on them all the
I mean-
time.
Can I address that? Like,
Whatever. Sure, please.
I think
I'm
you have
dying
to.
to know.
So prior to you being here,
Uh-huh.
I used to actually get out once a week, and we have an awesome bike trail that goes all the way around
We
Sioux
do.
Falls.
True.
It's 19.2 miles or something like that. And I would get up on Saturday and Sunday mornings and I would ride the bike trail. And this was prior to you being here. So the last time that I rode it was a year and a half ago now. Partly because once Lindsay came in, so my summers were always busy in here, but once Lindsay came in, if you remember, I was very pissy for the first few months while you were here because I couldn't keep
As
up.
opposed to this delightful charm.
Yeah, I am a delight. But I couldn't keep up with the sales that she was doing outside and what I was trying to still feed the tap room. And my schedule was just completely off. And last summer, I just didn't have time to go bike riding.
So this is
Sorry, I
your
could
fault.
sell
This is
less
your
beer.
fault, Lindsay.
Yeah.
Lindsay, it's your whole, yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is your fault.
It is. I can't win with this one.
You're-
Literally ever.
Hey, thanks for being really great at your
Literally
job, Lindsay.
ever.
Yeah.
So I do have a bike, and I did used to go bike riding, and I could do the loop in about that 19.2 miles. I do the loop in about an hour and 10 minutes. So
Is that
not like,
good? I don't
I
know.
mean, it's decent, but it's not like I'm still getting passed by those dudes in really tight shorts
Mhm.
and and like the
Maybe
aerodynamic,
your shorts
the
are too
aerodynamic
loose.
helmet. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I
the
need
road
tighter.
Look
bikers.
shorts.
at Matt
Yeah.
says right here that you're blaming me. Mhm. Matt knows what's up.
Yeah.
Well, Lindsay, Scott, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us where people can find your beer.
Well, Lindsay, actually, I'll let you do that.
Okay. In town, we are in all of the Hy-Vees.
Grocery stores.
I'm sorry. We are in all of the grocery stores, most of the grocery stores. Mainly, sorry. Oops. We can scratch that. We are in kind of the liquor party stores. Is that what they're
Mhm.
called here? We're in the party
Liquor stores.
liquor stores here. And a good chunk of the restaurants, a lot downtown. You can get us also in Brookings, Aberdeen, Mitchell,
Fort Pierre,
Fort Pierre,
on occasion, Rapid City,
Rapid City, and
Dakota Dunes,
hit it, Toots,
Jefferson.
Jefferson. So there you go. We really are not any further west than Fort Pierre, to all the people here who are wondering, but we are in Fort Pierre, and then this away. But right now we are pretty Sioux Falls centric, with a few exceptions here and there.
Cool. So you got to go to Sioux Falls to get their beer.
Or subscribe to you guys.
Yep.
Right, because there it is.
There it is.
There it is. You too can have spruce with your cranberry.
And
Brewery. I literally never said it. Just want you to know that.
I don't think we did it either, at least right.
cranberry. I can't do it.
Yeah.
It's like it's breaking apart. It's
Matthew
breaking the
Cleveland.
language center of my brain. So anything else to plug before we say our goodbyes here?
What you got, Skatoma?
I don't think I have anything else. I think I'm good. I'm satisfied.
He feels satisfied. We should end this immediately.
Well,
I feel that way too.
Isaac,
Bye.
Isaac, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I also feel satisfied, and I think we should just a clean break right now. No, it's been great. My big takeaway here is, and you all, unless you've been listening, probably don't know this, but I think I have been the most frequent featured co-hosting guest on Brews Less Traveled. So I would like to hold on to that accolade.
MC would like to have a word with you, I think.
Oh, yeah.
But you're right there. You're right there, definitely.
Neck and neck.
Final thoughts on the gateway to the plains. I really liked learning about Sioux Falls and learning about everything that there is in that corner of South Dakota and the beer scene there. Shout out to our awesome featured breweries this month: Severance, a homestead brew, stalling as I remember the rest of them, Remedy, and Covert Artisan Ales and Cellars. Thanks for the beers, everybody. On tonight's featured brewery, thanks again to Severance for supplying beers for the show. You can find them at Severance Brewing on Instagram. Thanks for the beers for the show, and thanks for the beers for the beer club. I just know
Lily,
a bunch of stuff.
thanks,
Awesome.
guys. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
The sign said
Hold on.
in the
It says,
chat.
how do you know if somebody likes craft beer? Don't worry, they'll tell you.
Thank you.
Oh,
To our
Walrus
listeners-
is out.
To our listeners at home, you can head over to brewvana.com if you would like to join the beer club and get beers like these shipped to you on a monthly basis. It'll also help us keep the lights on and keep this show going. It's the best way you can support us, but you could also write us a review on your favorite podcast platform. We'll be back with an episode next week, which is going to be a new city. Next month, we're going to be featuring the birthplace of the creator of Community, one of my favorite TV shows of all time.
Oh my!
Dan Harmon's birthplace. So figure that one out and put it in the chat before we sign off tonight. But new city is going to mean new co-host and of course new beers and new featured breweries. So excited to join everyone next week. But until then, stay safe, be kind, and support local breweries, everybody. Cheers. See ya.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for watching Brews Less Traveled on YouTube. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more interviews with brewery professionals.